Yes, bitch.
This.
No, because then it's
gonna be a hit.
Motherfuck. Okay, we'll do it this way.
Can you put it a little bit away from me because I always talk too loud.
Okay. All right, girls.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay, so I'm here today with two fans of drag, people who participate in drag, talking about RuPaul's Drag Race. I can't do this. I can't. Okay.
Here, do that again.
I'm gonna have to do this part on my own. I'm just gonna have to ask you guys these questions and then edit that in. I can't do an intro with you people here. All right. So.
Are we like anonymous or?
No. I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourselves.
Okay.
Do we have to come up with a name? I need my drag name.
Our real names or drag
well,
names?
you obviously you have Yukon Gold, so
I can say that.
You can say that. If
can
you
I say
want
like my name's Luca?
Yeah.
And like.
But I go by You can
Okay.
establish yourself if you
I
say.
don't have-
You can say I don't have a drag name yet. That's fine.
So you're a drag baby.
Britney Schmears.
You can
that's
also
so
say
ugly.
that. That's
Oh.
great.
I
But,
know
like,
it's an ugly name,
it's
but
for a
But you can
fucking
still.
intro.
Who's gonna fucking?
Yeah.
RuPaul's gonna listen to this.
should I do permanent? No, I don't like that one.
That is some.
I made
We're
a.
workshopping that one.
Yeah.
I need one.
Also, I actually found out today on my Snapchat. It's been 2 years since Yukon Gold was created.
Holy shit.
That's when I got 2
She's
years.
old.
It was at Humber fucking North 2 years ago today. So perfect timing.
Oh my gosh. Happy anniversary.
Thanks, bitch.
Oh, this is. We can talk about
she
this.
still has not come out yet, though. Okay, sorry. We'll get back on track.
That's okay. So, anyways, I am here with two dear friends of mine who love drag and everything about it. I will let them introduce themselves, starting with my good friend over here.
Hi there. I'm Luca, and my drag name goes by Yukon Gold.
And I'm Ari, and I don't quite have a drag name yet, but soon.
It's a process, I feel like,
Yeah.
to like come up with a drag name.
I feel like I have to be in like a performance.
No, it definitely is. I got
It's
mine
just like
from-
in the moment,
I know,
like it comes to you.
I got mine from Starbucks, though, so... That's,
From Starbucks?
yes.
Because you work at Starbucks.
No, it was someone, I was at Starbucks, and I told the girl my name, and when she gave me the cup, it looked like it said Yukon on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friend and I were just like, that's like such a good name. And Yukon, and I was like, we can go with that. And then like Yukon Gold just came around.
That's so funny.
Is it?
But it's just like, like the most like random shit, and then it like,
Yeah.
what do I say? Yeah, I can say
I think you can
shit.
swear.
So, yeah, I'll bleep it out. I'll bleep it
Just
out.
put random beeps in.
Yeah,
Just
boop, and sound effects. Bow. But no, I think that like coming up with drag names is something that only like gay people think about.
Mhm.
It's just like constantly in the back of your mind. But anyways, we are here to talk about the phenomenon of RuPaul's Drag Race. So I just want to like start off with like speed round of like opinion questions.
Oh.
So like, how long have both of you guys been watching Drag Race? Are you new fans? Are you OG fans? When did you discover Drag Race? We'll start with you, Ari.
I'm definitely like a newer fan. I think I started
We say that. They're fucking things
Is it
like...
censoring me already?
Yeah.
Just
Sorry,
go down.
your time is up, actually.
They're playing you off.
Okay. Action.
Sorry, back to
Correct.
back to
Let's do a quick
you.
commercial.
What?
Go.
Oh, okay. I'm more of a new fan. I think I started watching, like, religiously 3 years ago. But I've always, like, been interested in, like, watching, like, random clips. My brother was obsessed with the show, and he always tried to get me to watch it, and I watched episodes with him. So, I've known about drag for maybe 7 years. And then only really watched 3 years ago.
That's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
did you know about drag before you came out as part of the LGBTQ community?
Yeah.
Yourself?
It was just like I knew about it, but like I don't really think about it. It was just like, oh yeah, people do that.
Mm-hmm.
You do you. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think for me, for example, though, I think I started watching it like Ari said, like religiously a couple of years ago. But before that is because I never even knew about it before that. Like, because I was living at home before and I wasn't really exposed to, I come from like a very small town, so I was never really exposed to the whole scene of drag or gay people in general. So I think when I came down for college, that's when I found out more about the whole community, even as a whole, not only Drag Race and drag culture. But yeah, I think like watching it though, just a couple years ago.
So both of you guys are like pretty new fans. So it's pretty fair to say that like Drag Race has only kind of become mainstream and like really popular in the past couple years, and I think it's kind of safe to assume that along with like the acceptance of homosexuality, the recent, legalization of it in all 50 states in America has really contributed to its success.
For sure.
But there are some people that would say that it actually promotes some harmful stereotypes about women and the perception of women or trans women.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts of that. I know you're both fans of the show, but are there any critiques that you may have?
So this is really funny because I was in the car with my dad. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, and we were listening to a comedian because I think we were doing a big road trip. And he was talking about how like drag queens were like becoming more popular. And he was like, it's like those straight people who like, they're not homophobic, but they don't want to like see anything gay and they're like offended by that. But they're okay with it happening. So he was one of those people. He was like talking about how gay people, do what you want, but I don't get drag queens. It's like, and then he was like, oh, like if you are gay, why do you want to look like a woman and have sex with a man? Or is that what you're actually perceiving a woman to be? Like, that's not what anything a woman does. And it's just like, people need to chill out and just enjoy it as an art form and not as this political thing, because there's too much politics and everything.
Like, to play devil's advocate for a second, from what I just learned about it, I think it definitely is confusing for some people, definitely, to like try to understand the concept of like a gay man dressing up as a woman, and like some people not understanding that it's more of an art form rather than them even wanting to be a woman. Because I know I've heard people say like, does that mean they're trans, like that sort of thing. I think it's definitely something hard to like understand if you're not fully within the community, because it was definitely, I didn't understand it 100% at first, because I was like, I don't get why a guy is trying to dress up as a woman but still like be gay. But obviously as time goes on I understand it clearly, but like I think it's definitely something that takes time for people to understand.
I think it can kind of like spark a lot of conversation too about how we view the gender spectrum and those binaries and conforming to that, as opposed to gender roles and our views of what masculinity and femininity look like. Because I think that drag queens and drag kings too, just the whole art of drag, is really about sort of celebrating femininity as an aspect as opposed to a marker of gender, if that makes sense, I think that it can be a really positive thing, but I think RuPaul's Drag Race in particular can definitely fall to some harmful stereotypes about women occasionally.
Yeah, I think definitely like how a lot of drag queens on that show specifically try to perceive themselves as very like beautiful, like this perfect body. Like they try to like the men that are on the show try to pad themselves to have this like perfect body. And I think definitely like how you're saying towards like standards of women, it's like,
and I think we see like a lot of the trends of what's considered attractive for women when we look at the winners of Drag Race, and we see most of them have been thin and white and attractive. We haven't had a big girl winner. Or
I think it's as much as we all try to advocate for equality within women and everyone in general, I think definitely you can see some aspects of the stereotype of women's stereotypes specifically within drag culture and what's popular within the whole community.
I think like when you look at the the contestants or queens who are considered to be like prestigious, they're usually the ones that are white and thin, or white and funny, or white and
very like cookie
pretty.
cutter.
Yeah, exactly. And the ones that are considered, you know, the comedic queens, like the ones that contribute a lot to like pop culture and like the meme or whatever, but they aren't considered to be as true to their craft, like Jasmine Masters. You kind of, you know, think about what that might say about the ideas that people have about women, and you know?
Yeah.
So do you think that I can minimize this browser to see my next question? Okay, yeah. So one of the things that's so interesting about Drag Race is that recently it hasn't just appealed to gay culture. It's kind of made its way into straight circles as well, and kind of everybody that you talk to, even if they aren't religiously watching Drag Race as most of us are, they know, you know, a couple queens or catchphrases, or they at least know who RuPaul is. So what is it about the show that you think kind of makes it so exciting to other people, that other reality TV shows, like you don't see people quoting like Survivor?
I mean,
well, like if you're in the community,
you're talking to Survivor fans, so
out of my league. But you know, like RuPaul has more influence.
No, of course.
I think it's because in the rise of more LGBT publicity, like in the media, and more gay characters, and just people are actually talking about it and not scared of it. Gay culture is very surrounded by drag queens, and it's like that's where it lived, and it's just more fun, and it's the best. So it comes along with the characters, and it just becomes like, again, a stereotype that all gay men want to be a drag queen and or want that, but just because of that correlation of through the media, it's kind of followed through. And it's also like a kooky fun show that people are like, whoa, you watch Drag Race? So it's like a novelty to non-fans.
Yeah, and I think to follow up also with what Ari was saying, like, I think also recently, since it's been added to Netflix, I think a lot of people have been watching it, especially straight women, especially, I think have been watching it a lot more often. And like Ari said also, it has been talked about more in our media, specifically recently when a drag queen like Brooklyn Heights, for example, was put onto the newest season of Drag Race. It was all over like the Toronto newspaper, all over Toronto, like the news, it was everywhere. So it's kind of showing like that it's getting into mainstream media and mainstream like broadcasting, and even like the just like older fashioned, I guess, like forms of media, such as like the newspaper, not like it's more traditional media that is shown in that too, which is like so great to hear that it's being exposed to everyone, because
a different demographic reads the newspaper.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's exciting to know that its influence has kind of spread. I mean, yeah, I agree. I think that just the fact that it kind of shows a more fun side of the gay community, because we spend so much of our time just trying to convince other people of our worth, and that, you know, love is love, and everything is so, like you said, political. And I think that drag is, you know, an inherently political thing. Yeah. But that's a whole other...
That's another topic.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. But just seeing something where it's just a bunch of gay men just enjoying themselves and making a fool out of themselves and having a good time, it just shows, like, the gay community in just, like, a fun, happy light. And it's just a time when people come together and laugh at people dressing up really funny, and I think that it's kind of a nice moment for us, and whether or not it lasts and whether or not RuPaul fades off in the next couple of years, I think that
let's hope not.
I know, it's just the worst thing that could ever happen.
We all gasped.
Well, that's actually a good segue into my final question before I get just a couple opinions. But do you guys think that computer just died. Do you guys think that the social relevance that RuPaul has now has longevity, or do you think that in the next couple of years it'll fade out kind of like the American Idol fad when most people were really enjoying it and it faded out.
Yeah, I think everything within media, social media, and current topics definitely go through a phase of their rise and their fall. I do really think, like you were saying, RuPaul, the show, and drag as a whole right now definitely is at the climax of its, like,
Popularity.
It's at the climax of its popularity right now, and everyone knows about it. Everyone's talking about it, especially within, like, just our community. Everyone's talking about it, so I believe that everything does run its course of popularity. For example, so many social media platforms have gone through the same thing of just being so popular and then not at all. And that happens with TV shows. I think that as much as I don't want it to happen, I think it eventually will happen because something new will come around, something newer, hotter, funnier, something will come around that will probably not come into place of it, but be a lot of competition because there isn't a lot of competition right now for this show or anything.
It sort of seems like the pioneer for gay media because now that we've accepted this one show, it's like, oh, well, if the gays can give us this, then what else can they
Like, there's a market for it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a big market.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I mean, thank you guys so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having
and
us.
answering all of my questions. Before I let you go, for anybody that's interested in Drag Race, I just want to get 2 expert opinions on a couple speed round questions.
Ooh.
So first things first, if somebody now has heard this and is dying to watch Drag Race, I would like to know, what season would you recommend that they watch first?
Oh. Season...
I don't know.
6. Who won season 6?
Spoiler alert.
Who was in season 6? I forget.
Adore Delano. Courtney Act.
Oh, yes. That was an
a
iconic
good
season.
That was a
season.
really,
That
really
is
good
a
one.
very
That was the
good
first one that I watched.
That's
that
the
was-
first one you watched.
And Laganja was in that season.
Laganja.
Yes.
Laganja, Bianca.
Bianca.
Oh, that was a really good season.
Yeah.
That was a good season. Start on season 6.
Season 6 is
Yeah.
a great... RuPaul you don't have to watch in chronological order, which I think is nice.
Yeah, it's always different.
Okay, next question. Your favorite drag queen of all time from RuPaul.
From RuPaul's Drag Race.
I think for me, I'm definitely into a specific type of drag queen. I'm very into, like, the more pageant, like, girly, feminine, very, like, high, like, hyper feminine type of drag queen. Like we just mentioned about Courtney Act is definitely one of my favorite drag queens because she's just, like, stunning, but at the same time I think she is very talented in what she does, and, like, she's really made, like, a huge name for herself in, like, our current media, and, like, she's definitely, like, one of my favorites. There's a lot to choose from, but I'd have to say her.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Like, she's one of the more popular queens, but Katya, she's popular for a reason, and she has become such an icon in the gay community and in the drag community, and she got her own show on Vice also, like, and I love, like, unexpected things and, like, things that make you uncomfortable, and she loves playing with all of that with her, like, extravagant costumes and the, like, showing the devil symbol, like, she rips away her bangs, like, I love that kind of stuff, and, like, very club kid and artistic stuff.
What about you, Shauna?
My favorite drag queen of all time is probably one that I relate to the most. Adore Delano.
Yeah.
I think
Okay. Party.
She is.
Party.
I have her quote on my my door of my apartment, so every time I leave, I just give a good shout out to Adore Delano and live my life like Adore Delano would. WWAD. What would Adore Delano?
What would Adore Delano?
Yeah, nothing else.
What would Adore Delano?
Exactly.
What? Okay, anyway.
Probably drop out of Drag Race.
But yeah, so, this was great. I feel like we covered quite a few topics. 19 minutes, and I get to edit down into 8. Yeet. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for coming and being here with me. This was a pleasure, and be sure to tune in next week when we don't meet up and don't do this again. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.